I think essentially what happened, right? Because if you think it's like really Al-Qaeda and ISIS are the two terrorist groups that have actually hit the United States of America and Europe. And you know what I mean? Like committed acts of terror against it. No, both were armed and funded by the West at different points. And that's pretty appalling when you think about it. But really, I mean, what happened is, and I don't know exactly how much of this was the propaganda or how much of it was genuinely believed by people who were pushing it. But certainly the stated propaganda, which was stated when Benjamin Netanyahu testified in 2002 in front of Congress as a regional expert and explained how if you overthrow Saddam Hussein, democracy will sweep the region. This will put pressure on Iran, and then they will have less influence on the region. And a lot of these neoconservatives seemed to actually believe this. Now, I don't know if they did. It seems to me like some of them actually did. It's the dumbest thing in the freaking world to think you would have believed there. You had in Iraq, where you have a Shiite majority that is held down by a Sunni minority, that if you overthrow that government and install the democracy, which means the Shiites, right? Like, because they're 60% of the country, so they win, that this will hurt Iran was insane. And anyway, so what ended up happening after the Iraq war, after we toppled Saddam Hussein, was that Iran got drastically more influence in the region. Now, it's possible that people like Dick Cheney and Benjamin Netanyahu and them kind of knew that was going to happen. And then they were like, well, then we'll just topple Iran next. So it'll all be fine. I don't know exactly. But there's no question. And there was a piece, I believe it was in the New Yorker, called The Redirect in either 2006 or 2007, where basically what was decided was that now that Iraq backfired so much, and Iran has so much more power in the region, that now we got to go take the Shiites down a peg. And this is really what was behind the attempt to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. And by the way, this, not overthrowing our democracy and not putting bounties on U.S. soldiers' head in Afghanistan or whatever the other lies that they made up about Vladimir Putin. The real crime that Vladimir Putin committed was he denied the U.S. a regime change in Syria. And you could look at the way Vladimir Putin was talked about before Syria versus after Syria. Oh. It is so stark. George W. Bush said he looked into Vladimir Putin's eyes and he was a good Christian, and Hillary Clinton had her reset button. It wasn't until he denied the American war machine a regime change that he became Adolf Hitler. He's hell-bent on reconstituting the Soviet Union and all this other crap.